Back at the start of November, my friend Eddie hit me up with a game that we could play called The Longing. I'm not exactly sure how he found this game, but we both agreed to play it since it struck us as something quite out of the ordinary. The concept of The Longing is that you play as this shadowy figure named Shade, who we decided to call Mr. Kilamiles. Get it? And you're told by a king to wake him from his sleep after spending 400 days trapped beneath the earth's surface in an underground ancient kingdom. The king promises you peace, prosperity, and a world without longing as long as you follow his rule of not leaving the kingdom by going outside. It's an interesting idea, but what precisely makes this game so unique is how much time you're given to complete it, because as soon as you load up The Longing, your 400-day timer starts, and once that time is up, the game's over and has no replayability. But it doesn't necessarily take 400 days to complete The Longing, does it? You can clearly see in the title of this video that we completed it in 100 days, 103 days to be exact. But that is all down to the player's experience throughout The Longing, as each aspect of the game delivers various decisions the player must make, which will overall affect the outcome of how long the game takes to finish and the ending you get. And that is what makes The Longing so original. We're used to games where replayability features are endless. I could name hundreds of examples from single-player games to multiplayers. But with The Longing, you can only play it once. Once the game is over, it's done. Finished. I assume that if you really wanted to replay it, you'd literally have to tweak the game files and restart, because there's no option to play again once you've finished it. But the game was made like this on purpose. You see, in the game, because of how much time you're given, your character moves very slowly, almost frustratingly slow. And there are parts in the game which require you to wait days, weeks, if not months to be able to progress. The Longing teaches you humbleness and patience. You cannot speedrun it. You cannot get good at it, because there is no skill required to play it, and there's no way of getting better at the game. The only thing you can do is mindlessly wander around the caves in hope that something happens. I don't mean to get scientific, so if you want to skip ahead, that's up to you, but I suggest you hear me out. The real world is full of stimulation, some worse than others, whether it be listening to music, scrolling through social media, eating junk food, and yes, even playing video games. These are easy activities because they're fun and don't require much brain power. When you partake in these activities, your brain gets a hit of dopamine, which is a chemical that releases short-term satisfaction. But then there are activities that are harder to do and instead do require brain power, such as working out, reading a book, or even doing something simple like making your bed in the morning, which, let's be honest, nobody really wants to do. And these release the chemical serotonin, which is a much more relieving satisfaction than dopamine, because it requires you to do something productive, which causes your happiness to feel stronger, rather than instead doing something easy and not feeling good about yourself. And because of that, you feel worse, making you crave more dopamine until it wears off again, making you reliant to keep doing bad habits, therefore causing addiction, which is unhealthy. And dopamine overload has been proven to lead to depression, anxiety, and get this, even video game addiction disorders. So why did I yap about all of that? Well, like I said with video games being a dopamine activity, I believe The Longing is the polar opposite of that. And I think it was within the intentions of the game developers for the game to be that way. You could almost call The Longing the ultimate dopamine detox. It's like meditating. There are no flashy images, loud noises, or bright colors. It's completely zen. And this is why The Longing stands out from the rest of most video games. Because unlike most video games, let's be real here, The Longing is quite boring to play. You're literally clicking and watching a pixelated man walk through a cave for hours upon hours on end. But that's what makes the little differences and moments in the game so much more enjoyable. During my playthrough, I was literally getting hyped over finding a new color so I could go back and make more drawings for my home. But like I said before, that's the whole point. The Longing isn't a game to play, it's a game to experience. It's unusual seeing a game that tells a story like a book. That's why I've been enjoying indie games lately. They aren't trash with big company marketing strategies to get players hooked on their game, such as leveling features, game modes, item shops. The Longing is just there to be enjoyed, or to not be enjoyed. It's a game of artistic expression. I mean, it's no surprise how it was released during the COVID pandemic lockdown, which could not have outlined the similarities between the game and the player in a better way, as well as it being an idle game, which isn't a common category for video games. The Longing teaches you a lot about life, especially of the endings. When the game's time is up, you finally get to see what you've been waiting for, which isn't some surprising ending like most people would expect. Instead, the 5 endings include you joining a family, accidentally dying, remaining in a forever abyss, or taking off. These endings are all symbolic to the true meaning of The Longing. When I finished The Longing, I realized that the ending didn't matter as much as the wait for the ending. In other words, it's the journey that matters, not the destination. Each ending relates to life. You can either sit around being miserable like the Shade, waiting for it to end, or you can make something of it. The Longing challenges you to be content with yourself. It makes you cope with solitude, the thing everyone is so focused to stay away from. I truly believe this game is one of the best games released in 2020, not because of how entertaining it is, but because of the detail that is put into this game and how different it is. If you have any questions, discussions, disagreements, don't be shy to leave a comment. And thank you for watching.